Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you're new. In this video I'm sharing with you a very simple idea for an advent calendar using these clear ornament balls and having a little flower decoration around these ornaments. And so I'm not quite sure what to call this. I did post on my Instagram several different names and some people have posted back. So this is a clear ornament ball and I've just wrapped these paper flowers around it. So is this called an ornament wreath, or like this itself, is that a wreath for your ornament? Is it a skirt? Is it a necklace? Is it a scarf? Is it a halo? I'm not sure what to call it. I just thought the names were so funny. But basically it's just a decoration for your ornament to give it a little bit more like holiday cheer to it. So for an advent calendar, I'm doing numbers 1 to 24, as number 25 would be the day of Christmas. So I am actually doing 6 of these ornaments mixed in with just regular balls without, or regular ornaments without the flowers around it. And that way I'm actually adding these to a small 24-inch tree. This is a tree that we had when my husband and I were in a 1-bedroom apartment before we moved. We had a tiny space just because we didn't need more, and so we kept this tiny little tree, and it's been in our basement. We haven't used it, so I thought this was a great way to use it as an advent calendar and just, you know, add some more cheer to our home. So putting together this is actually very easy, and I have these cutouts here. This is the same poinsettia flower petal that I have in my last 2 videos, and as you stack it on top of each other, you can wrap it around after you put it together, and then it creates this. I wish you could just cut it all in one piece, but it doesn't quite work that way, especially when you're wrapping it around. So after playing with this file a lot, I think I finally got it down to what I wanted it to look like, and this just looks perfect just for what I'm doing. I am including this as a free SVG down below in the description box. Go ahead and download it. Use it as you want to. So I'm offering it as a free SVG, but you're more than welcome to tweak the file either the way you like it, by either adding green petals, whatever you think looks best for your project if you're making something similar. So I'm first going to describe the actual ornament balls. So I purchased these off of Amazon, and I bought a 24 pack for I think $15, so that was actually very inexpensive. And I think the size is 70 millimeters, and it's less than 3 inches, I believe. So here was the pack that it came with, and I'm sorry, it's actually 60 millimeters, so it's less than 3 inches for sure. And the pack that I got, the reviews were fairly great on these, and I'm going to link that down below. Some of them said that the ornaments came scratched. None of mine looked scratched, but I haven't gone through the entire pack. So I have done quite a few ornaments, but I didn't do the entire pack. I will be kind of finishing it today. So they do come well packaged individually in a piece of plastic like this, and then you can just put it together, and then that's your ornament ball. I like to do things so that they're not completely permanent, so this is actually stuck on temporarily, and everything I'm doing, you can take everything off and reuse them in whatever way that you want. That's just how I like to do it. Okay, so I'm only going to do work on 4 of them right now, and I'm going to push these off up into the corner of the frame so I have a little bit more workspace. So what I'm filling these with, and I'm going to do this now before I move on to this, is I'm just filling it with paper shreds. So they're called Decorative gift filler, whatever name that you want to call it. I got this at Hobby Lobby for $1.50, so 1 pack goes a long way. I've used it for several things already. But I'm just adding a little bit to each circle here. I do love their different colors, and I'm adding this because I like the color that it will add to the ornament on this tree. And what I'm going to add to it is actually just Hershey cookies. So I have a bunch here, and I'm just going to take one of each color and then add that to the center. So I just added the Hershey Kisses to the center, and I'm just closing it all up. So they do close very nicely, and I haven't tried to drop them on purpose, but they have fallen, and they don't just break open. So these are really great. I just think the price was great, and these work really well. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just work on this one for now. So just filling these all up, that was super easy. It did take a little bit of time just to go through everything. So working with this piece here, I have sized it for my ornament, which is 60 millimeters. And I thought that 60 millimeters will wrap perfectly around this here, minus a little bit of space for where the ornament will hang from. It doesn't quite work that way, so my suggestion to you, if you're making something similar to this, is measure by cutting a small strip of paper, wrap it around the circumference of the ornament, and then measure that, and then go from there. If you're using this free SVG, you can just pull the image file so that it stretches out wider or smaller depending on what ornament balls you're using. So I haven't tried to use it with a bigger ornament, but I'm assuming that it's the same when it's an SVG file. Let me know if you have any questions down below, though. I'll just say that right now. But for mine, I did measure it by taking a piece of paper and measuring that circumference, and that's how I got this width here. It's an easy way if you want to adjust to your project, is basically what I'm saying. So just to prep this file, it's actually very easy. I take another gift card like I did before, and all I do is I hold it like this, and then I give it a crease right down the middle of every petal. You can just fold the petal in half like this if you want. I have a tendency to avoid doing that. I just don't think that it gives me the crease that I like, but this is probably easy so you don't have to use anything else or any other tool. However, I do like using the gift card. So once I've gotten all the creases in the petals, all I need to do is actually just put it together. And so they are not the same file for each. There are actually 4 separate files. So I did want to speak a little bit more about this cut file that's free. I did arrange it so that it all fits in one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. However, one thing matters, they are all different files, slightly adjusted based on how I want the petals to lay. So it fits well around the ornament. You do have to be mindful of what side you have these pieces on. So if you're pulling off the mat, be aware that you're stacking them directly on top of each other and you don't accidentally flip one. And it does matter whether you do flip one or not. It will come off a little incorrectly. And just to show you, this is an example of one where I tried to flip it, and then as you wrap this around your ornament, you'll see that there are actually gaps in this piece here that you don't want unless you do like this look. So it does matter how you actually put this piece together. That's something, it's not difficult, but you do have to be a little mindful of the piece. You could just mark it if you want, if you just want to add a little dot to know what is the right side and the wrong side. Basically just stick with the same side however you're doing it so that you don't get these gaps here. So again, there are 4 pieces, but 3 of them have 4 petals in this layer, and there's only one with 5 petals. This is your base layer. There's one that fits directly on top, and it fits well spaced between the 5 petals here. So there's one petal that fits like that. So the remaining 2 pieces, they're slightly adjusted to the left or the right based on how I wanted to fit, so that it falls nicely around this ornament here. So I've dragged that explanation out just to show you that that's what gives you this nice little arrangement here. Otherwise you'll get gaps. So in order to put this together, what I'm actually doing is I'm going to take a piece of paper underneath, and what I'm doing is I'm actually using my Events tape glider. This is just sort of like a tape adhesive runner. You can use a craft glue, which would probably be best. I just don't want to wait for that to dry right now. So this is a 1/4 inch, and this is about a 1/4 inch strip here. So I'm adding this glue adhesive here. I would not recommend hot glue. If you've made paper flowers before and you made centers, you realize that the more glue you add, the harder it is to roll, and it adds a bulk to it that you may not want. So use some sort of glue, like a wet glue. You can use Elmer's glue, craft glue, or any sort of adhesive roller that will work best for this. So I don't always get the glue perfectly or the adhesive perfectly, but you can just rub off the excess. So this is my base layer, and I like to take one of the pieces that is slightly offset from center, and I add glue to that as well. It shouldn't actually matter what order you put together all 4 pieces, just be mindful of, again, the right sides of the pieces. And you could just add them together, but I like to mix, and I'm not sure why I added glue to this one first. I just needed to lay that on top. But basically, you just glue all the pieces together. There's no specific order, but I'd like to do it this way. So I take that 5-layer piece, and then I take one that's offset. Then I take the one that's directly right in the center of the 5 petals. So this is the one that fit best in between the 5 petals. I might actually be very confusing explaining that in real time. Basically, all you need to do is just glue them together. Don't worry about the order. It should all fit together. So all I'm doing is just stacking them all on place. This does add bulk, but again, I wanted this to fit and space evenly around the ornament, and this is the only way that I could figure out how to do it. So from here, all you need to do is just push these petals down just a bit. And then from here, this is what I'm going to wrap around my ornament, like this, just to show you. And you'll see that it covers nicely. So I'm obviously not gluing it just yet, but I want to show you what it looks like before I glue it. So I did leave a little bit of space here because I want to save that space for this hook area here, and then also I'm putting a bow. So it doesn't quite fully go in a circle, and that's exactly what I want. So in order to glue this, what I'm actually doing, again, I want it to be temporary. This is something that I'm using for this year, and I don't want to use this and then never use it again. So I'm adding things to make it like a temporary decoration for these ornaments, and I'm actually going to use glue dots. I think these are about 1/4 inch. I just had them in my craft room. And what I like to do is add the glue dot to each end and all throughout this piece here. You can just use any piece of dot roller or tape glider as I've used, or any sort of glue that you want. And if you want it to be permanent, go ahead and glue it to this piece here. Just make sure your glue isn't super hot. I'm not sure if it melts the plastic or not. And you want to add it to just the outside of the ornament piece that goes over. That way you can keep opening it and closing it. But again, I like to use this glue dot because it does stick well, and I can rip this off when I don't want this on there anymore. So I'm just wrapping this around the ornament now. Again, I'm only making 6 of these for the entire 24 set. That way it adds a little bit of, fancy smashiness to the small tree that I will be adding it to, but it doesn't overtake it, because I think if I made 24 of these, it would actually look a little busy. And then all I do is add a little bow to it, and again, I don't want to glue this bow to it, so what I do is I take a glue dot and just add that to the top here. Okay, so the ribbon I have here is 5/8 inch, and then I also like to use 1/8 inch ribbon. I just cut off a piece about 8 inches, and then I tie it. There are a lot of different ways you can tie it. You just slip it through, and I cut off the excess, and then I just push the ribbon so that it goes behind that ornament hook that was there, and that way you don't see that little knot. So that would be my ornament there, and then the rest I'll do without this sort of decoration around it. So I saw a really cool way to make bows out of ribbon, and I have made all these bows using that same technique, and I wanted to share it. I will link that Instagram that I first saw it down below. But you first take your ribbon. If you're working from the spool, you go ahead and take the end that's free, and then I would say go down about a foot. You take your last 3 fingers here, so the middle finger, index finger, and pinky, and you take the ribbon, and then you wrap it around your thumb, and then you wrap it around your index finger like that. So basically I wrapped it around my thumb and I wrapped it around my index finger, and then you pull it down. So if you feel like this is a little too short, you can also just keep pulling to lengthen it a little bit. So you take this and then you push it underneath both ribbon pieces. So basically that area where the web of your hand is, that's where I've pushed the ribbon underneath. So now that this ribbon here is on top, I'm going to bring it back down, and then that piece that's here, where the ribbon came down originally, I'm going to tuck it underneath just that one piece, and then I'm going to pull. So I've pulled it tight, and then here I've had my little ribbon, and then from here you just snip, and then you have a little ribbon here, and it has nice little loops, and that's super easy. I just loved it because it's actually very easy. I'm gonna go ahead and do that one more time because I'm not sure if that was done well or not. Okay, so now I've got all my ornaments here and they're all prepped and ready. They've all got candy, they've all been filled, and they have the ribbon right here, so they're ready to go on the tree after I add in the advent calendar numbers. Okay, so I have these vinyl numbers cut out. You probably can't see them too well because it's white on a white backing, but basically they're numbers 1 to 24, and I cut it using white vinyl. It's matte vinyl from Cricut. I'll link that down below if you're interested, but I used Times New Roman font, and I did about 1.25 inches, or 1 1/8 of an inch tall numbers, and so I'm going to go ahead and cut out the first number. So the way that I want to do the numbering system is that every fourth number I'll add the ornament, wreath, skirt, necklace, whatever you want to call it. But that'll be the number. So 4, 8, 12, 16, those numbers will have the ornament decoration. So these here will just be plain. So I have the number 1. I'm going to go ahead and just pick one random and then just add that on to the ornament. Now looking at it, I wish it was a little bit bigger. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I actually don't mind it, if only just because I don't want them to be too decorated. I don't really have much style. So one thing you can do is just actually write out the number. So 1, so O-N-E, 2, T-W-O. Maybe that'll be better if you like it, but I wanted a little more simple. However, I do think that these numbers could have been a little bit bigger. I just wasn't sure with the rounded surface whether it would be a little hard to add that number in. But I'll go ahead and add numbers to all of these ornaments. Alright, so this is my completed set of advent calendar ornaments. I will be hanging these on that mini tree, and I will share clips of what it looks like. Adding on the vinyl is actually super easy, although I will suggest using actual transfer tape, not just contact paper. It didn't stick enough. It did stick well when transferring it over, but removing it from the vinyl did take a little bit of effort. Not really that difficult though if you just have it. Overall, I just think this is actually really nice. Maybe next year I will add different colors to it or add different decorations. Again, I did make these so that they were all of these decorations are removable, so I did not seal the vinyl, so I could still, if I wanted to, remove it. And all these bows as well as these ornament scarves, whatever you call them. I'm laughing because I still haven't decided a great name for it. These flower ornaments, all these are removable so they can be reused year after year. Again, I think this is a great project for about $20. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I will again add that free SVG down in the description box. Let me know if you're making something similar or what you do with this SVG file, and happy holidays. I hope you're interested in some of the other videos I have to come. Thank you for watching. Bye.